And then we did the entire rest of the show with people that had had their own experiences and stuff. That was an emotionally draining show.
Well, it was for you. For me, not so much because, my kind of opinion is still more straight line with the Crash Talk. If you're going to go out and be a gangbanger, well, you're going to get that kind of stuff, ain't you? And really,
ain't nobody got time for that.
They just don't.
But that happened in his youth, too. That was a response. He didn't do that post-gangbang, and he did that, in a response to growing up in the foster homes and the traumas he'd endured as a child. So,
well, trauma.
But he based his entire career on that.
Oh, sure.
And that led us into that show. Another really good show that we did that was emotionally draining for us, because at the time we were going through it with our then 11-year-old daughter, was the bullying episode. Yeah. So that was a really good one. And believe it or not, she learned a great deal from that show.
Did she listen to it?
Of course. Yeah. She always listens to them.
When the hell does she listen to that?
Whenever she's allowed on the pewter, she always listens to our shows.
That's almost never, so.
Yeah. This one, we don't allow her to listen to a great many of them, but this one we do, because this is our... this would be the network show.
That's right.
And the other ones are our cable shows,
Our caveman shows? What?
Right. The Lifestyle is the All Access channel. So
I thought that was Sex and the Kitty. Oh,
no.
Did he say that?
Well, no, because, as people who've followed our station and know me and my work know, that show's not a sex show.
I know.
It's not like...
I just like playing with it because of the name. And I'm not the only one, by the way. I'll have you know.
Now you should do the drum, thanks. Yeah.
Oh, God.
That was a good one. Okay, so, right. I mean, we're still doing this show.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like I said, at times it's been heavy, and at times we've had that 3-part series at Halloween, where we had all the paranormal experts. We had the psychic medium, and then we had the, we had the ghost hunter. And then we had Ailey Martinez, the author, came and talked about his books. And, and that was a great 3-part series. We did that one entire month of October leading up to Halloween.
Well, and this is something that very few of our listeners know, but ever since that Ailey Martinez show, I mean, if you know me at all, gang, you know that I don't really read. I don't like to read books. I'm visual,
right?
Coming from the film and TV world, I'm a visual guy. So reading books really isn't high on my list. And I mean, when Dr. Judd Newborn was on our show and he gave us that autographed copy of Sophie Scholl,
right? That was another heavy show. Yeah, mm-hmm.
I tried to get through that. And being completely fair and honest, I didn't finish it yet. I still do have it over here.
Well, that's because Gia and I both read it, and we filled in the gaps for you in what you'd not finished. So.
Fair enough. But I got to say, with Ailey Martinez, his stuff was so good that got me reading again. I went out and bought all his books.
Well, that's your genre, too. Like you watch his sci-fi film and TV more than anything else, and that's your genre. So
yeah, that could be it.
That would be me. Anything horror, I'll do it, and I'll watch it, and I'll read it, and I'll... that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we've come to a place now where we realize that hindsight might be 20/20, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't open our eyes and address and redress imbalances in this country and the world, and with things that we hear about. This country in particular has fallen victim to.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think we'll get to that right after the commercial break here. We got to do that pretty quick, but we can only do what we can do. We call stuff like we see it and impart how we handle it and live it. But the one thing we never do or can never do, being in the media, is stay silent to injustices and just plain wrongs.
That's right. And we want to make it clear that we, above all people, feel that everyone has a right to their opinion, happiness, and chosen way of life. Yeah, of course, us above all people, because we live it. But we also feel that when there's an irrepressible desire for freedom to do and say and be just because, that's irresponsibly expressed. And we're certainly not going to stand by without voicing our ideas and solutions about issues like that. So.
Right. When we return from our break, we'll talk about how Straight Talk got started, how the influential guests that made us think helped evolve this show into what it is today.
Right, including the famous disaster episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, gang, if you want to check something out, you should scroll back through our history there and check out the disaster episode. we've definitely had our moments there. So join us after our first commercial break for exactly what I mean. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back after these really cool spots.
With 160 more miles per tank, the distances aren't getting shorter. The trucks are going farther. The new 2013 Ram 1500. With the best-in-class fuel economy, engineered to move heaven and earth. Guts, glory, Ram.
At LG, we dreamed of a day when you could rely on the perfect kitchen. We dreamed of a day when a dishwasher wouldn't require any pre-rinsing, when a refrigerator could be uniquely designed for better access and storage, when a washer could save 20 minutes on larger loads, and an oven would take minutes to clean instead of hours. And for you, that day is now.
The world is facing one of the biggest crises in the history of history. Girls are getting hotter and hotter. This is causing guys to lose their cool. It's happening everywhere. That's why the people at Axe have developed the new Axe Chill collection. It helps guys keep their cool before it's too late. Girls are getting hotter. Keep your cool with the new Chill collection from Axe.
Have I got a treat for you? New clean whipped cream foundation from CoverGirl. A delicious new recipe whipped up by Clean Makeup. They took their clean, fresh foundation, added a dash of hydration, then whipped it to smooth, matte perfection. Finally, a non-drying whip that wears like a dream. What a treat from Clean. New clean whipped cream from easy, breezy, beautiful CoverGirl.
Okay, we're back, and you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio One, New York. It is 9:48 p.m., and we're honoring this show and what it's meant to us in the station, and hopefully to you, our loyal listeners and fans. So, we touched a little bit on some of the things that have occurred over the last 4 years. We originated this show, when was it? March or May in 2010? When was it?
In 2010, it was March.
March, right. And it was one of those damn months.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the original concept for the show was, pretty much like I described. We wanted to tie in a serious kind of topical show with our friends and colleagues and incredibly interesting guests that, were in the top of their fields that had relations to the topic in question. So we didn't want to just have another guest interview show about entertainment, and, for example, we had Richard Pryor Jr. on and beautiful man Richie. And we almost, I think out of 4 minutes of that 90-minute show, we even mentioned his father. It was all about his mother and how she had raised him with the values and the things that make him what he is today. And, of course, his topic of interest was that whole, the transgender issue. And we spoke at length about that, and that was pretty good.
It was.
But we also promoted his upcoming show. It's not like we didn't, but, it's not about their celebrity.
No. Right. No, absolutely not. I mean, one of the things that I think he actually brought it up in the show, how he was grateful that we weren't all about his dad. And, kind of the way I look at it, and I know the way you look at it, is the world already knows his dad.
Right.
Whatever you want to say about that biography of that particular person, completely aside, everybody knows.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do with Straight Talk and Richard Pryor Jr. was to actually extract him. We wanted to bring him out.
Yeah.
We wanted to really find out about him, find out about how he grew up under that.
Mm-hmm. But, it was about, we found out. Mm-hmm.
Right. And, it turned out to be a hell of a good show because we're giving people information directly from the man that really hadn't ever been released or discussed before in mainstream.
Right, and we do that, and we find that so many times with so many of our guests, and they come on and they're incredibly surprised.
Right.
Because, it's not about, whatever they're famous for, So this is absolutely like the wrong venue for somebody like the Kardashians or like, whomever's just out there doing whatever. We have seriously substantive guests on that actually have some serious things to say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's not always completely serious. We've had our hysterical shows too. And we've had our hysterical bumps in the morphing of what the show was. It wasn't always,
No.
Crash and Kate. It
No.
was, for a while there, we tried a panel format.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd gotten really serious and political, with the elections of that year. And, we had kind of a roundtable discussion, and it was like, I was the Hague and I was monitoring everybody's political debates and things like that. And, we tried that premise for a while, and a hell of interesting shows, with the political viewpoints. But.
I think that those shows, for what they were, definitely were good. And actually, subsequent to that, we do all of our own shows here at HTLA. Everything's all our own original content.
That's right.
So we do the concepting of the shows, the formatting of the shows. Basically, we're Kate and I are the ones that make the final decisions on what gets reworked and what doesn't. And with a show like Straight Talk with Kate Taylor,
that's right. That was the original.
That was the original title, and it was all you. And the panel of three. I mean, you had a PhD, or a psychologist or psychiatrist or something. You had the blue collar everyman, and then you had a media politico, I believe, is what you called them.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That was your panel, and basically, we figured that making you the Hague
and mediating, correct, right?
I'm Switzerland, I think was the quote.
That was it. Yeah.
You were the one that would be amicable to the guests while the panel ripped them a new one.
Right, exactly.
Pretty much.
The shows got so involved though in debate amongst each other that the guests were
kind of left out.
Yeah, ancillary. Right.
Debates kind of went on, for an hour and a half or 2 days after the show.
2 days, right.
So yeah. So what we did is, we did that for, I guess we did it, about 3 months every week?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. We did a lot of them.
Right.
Kate and I just sat down and thought, this isn't really where we want to go. We're almost getting into political talk radio. I mean,
right. Yeah.
At one point there, I'd actually said, should I change the logos to, New York's political talk radio?
Right. And we actually did discuss that. That's right.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Wow.
But, with my background, 17 years film and television back on the West Coast and Kate's screenwriting and her film connections and whatnot in town here in New York, we just kind of felt that, no, you know what? Let's stick to what we know.
That's right.
And that's entertainment. So we'll stick to the film, the television, the fashion, the music industries. There's a hell of a lot of it based here, and we can take advantage of that. And we're already plugged into a number of those networks, so we've got already the inside track. And it's just kind of, I think because of those factors, that's what ultimately, made us decide to stick with, Straight Talk with Kate and Crash and just go and do basically the format that we saw last year.
Well, let's be honest now, because it was Straight Talk with Kate Taylor, and then I couldn't. There were weeks that I couldn't nail down a guest because they were busy and they were,
also true.
Schedules were tight. So, he started co-hosting a great many of the shows, and then I just kept him on permanently. So that's kind of how that went too. So, this is you're good. I think I'll keep you. That kind of thing. So it was just the evolution of the whole thing.
Well, that's true. I can't argue that. That's absolutely right.
And,
I just blocked that out.
Speaking of guests, we're not going to name names, but we have had some doozies. OMG.
Oh, man.
I mean, we've had the brilliant, obviously the best of the best, Rennie Harlan, and then A-list in film and television. We've had, Dr. Casey McNeil, NASA, he coaches the NASA people. He's that brilliant, So, and, oh gosh, celebrities up the yin yang, of course we've had. But we've had some people that, had just good press kits, and then we get them on the air, and oh wow, I'll just hint at not so normal.
And some of those guests too. It's interesting because when you're in the format of radio or internet broadcasting, as we are,